Whether you do it yourself or you partner, you have to pay some attention in your business model to what your key resources are. Resources can be physical. You got to ask yourself what physical resources are key to your business model, and should you do it in-house or partner? If you're in a manufacturing business, you got to worry about factories and raw materials sources. You have to worry about distribution. You're going to own retail stores. Are you going to use someone else's retail store? How are you going to warehouse stuff? Are you going to have your own delivery vehicles? What part of that infrastructure are you going to own yourself and why? And what part are you going to get through partners? And what do you need? So you need to sort of build a list of what you need and then figure out what's yours and what's theirs. You need real estate. Intellectual resources. What's key to your business? Do you have a brand? Is building a brand important to you? In that case, there's a whole bunch of stuff about branding and protecting your brand that you have to worry about. Reputation management, so on and so forth. Trade secrets. Are you going to use trade secrets to protect your intellectual property? Are you going to make that part of your culture so that people understand that this stuff is not for public consumption? Are you going to seek patents? A lot of companies look to patents early on, but you need to sort of put patents in a strategic perspective. You need to say to yourself, who else is building stuff in this area? How well protected are they against me? How well protected do I want to be against them? Patents are both offensive and defensive, and they're really a strategic resource for your business. You got to think about them from that standpoint. Talk to a good intellectual property lawyer at some point in the development of your business. Copyrights. Are copyrights important to you? Certainly for published material, copyrights are important. A new one is data. Who owns the data? If you're collecting customer data, what rights do your customers have to that data? What rights do you have to that data? How do you explain the data rights to your customers? How do you get their permission to use their data? How do you do that in a way that's sort of privacy fear-proof? And now we're moving into an era of the Internet of Things where there's lots of concern about sensor data. Who owns sensor data? Who has the right to use it? Who has the right to reuse it? What does a sensor data agreement look like? I think we're just sort of breaking new ground here. Your key resources may be human resources. What's key here? What kind of professionals do you need? Are they available in the geography where you're building your business? Should you locate to an area where the professionals that you need are available? Do you need skilled workers? Increasingly, businesses need skilled workers and not just professionals, even tech startup. How are you going to be able to recruit? If you're building a business in Lake of the Woods, Minnesota, you might get some great people, but you're not maybe going to get the kinds of professionals and skilled workers that you need and the numbers that you need to be able to recruit them. What do you need in the way of subject matter experts? A lot of businesses need subject matter experts to help them with what they're doing. Finally, there are licensed workers. You may need specific licenses to do some of the things in your business model. You might need security clearance for a security business or a government-oriented business. You might need a pilot's license for an air commuter business. You might need an MD for a business that has to do with medical devices or medical treatments. What sort of financial resources will you need? Is your business capital intensive? And if so, where are you going to get capital from? Are you going to get from equity? That's sort of a classic venture capital way to get it. It's an expensive way to get it, but it can work. Are you going to get it from debt? Are there things that you can get better terms on debt for doing? We talked a little bit about receivables financing. Are there other ways to do debt financing that are secured by something so that you're not paying as much interest? Finally, of course, you could fund the business out of your earnings. It seems like the last resort for many, but maybe it should be the first resort. Do you need to own everything? There's a lot of things where you don't need to actually own it. You can rent it. You can lease it. You should examine the financial implications of owning everything versus leasing what you don't need to own. So there's a lot of different resources, and you have to identify the key resources to understand where they're going to come from, how you're going to supply them. You have to identify how much of each resource you need in order to judge the feasibility of your business, and you need to sketch out a plan for the resource and test it so that you have some confidence that as you start the business that it's going to be able to take wing. Thanks.